Snowcat's job right now is just to drive around these roads and rescue stranded motorists. So that's what they're doing. That is Travis right there. Travis, can you tell us what's happening right now?
So we were going to check on stranded motorists and came upon this this motor vehicle accident. It appears to be non-injury, right? As we can tell, the roads are super icy. We got more vehicles coming.
Colorado's March blizzard is bringing out the best and the worst in this state. First and foremost, the dedication and bravery of emergency responders rescuing stranded drivers. One state trooper died in the process. The wise decision to cancel 1,000 flights at the airport to keep people from risking their lives in the storm. Excel crews racing to restore power after more than 200,000 people end up in the cold with the dark on the way. And the blizzard revealed the worst in people as this storm raged. A selfish climber on the Manitou Incline requiring rescue, stranded drivers starting a fist fight, and Democrats at the state capitol admitting that they're putting politics over public safety, refusing to call a snow day, forcing citizens to choose whether to risk coming to the Capitol. Some people are in it deep. Next.
If there was ever a day that a Snowcat was the only vehicle that should be on the road,
Visibility it's impossible.
this was it.
It would be preferable to not drive in it for sure.
Yet people still got in their cars.
Wait, but let's get him out of this car.
And they are lucky that Travis Tennis can get to them.
Do you want to go to the hospital?
No.
Even the walk to the stranded drivers is dangerous.
Be careful, it's super slick.
All of the people in this 5-car accident are okay, but they're stuck.
Here you go. And then we're going to get you in.
What thing?
Our rescue vehicle here.
The rescued people pile into the trailer of the Snowcat.
Okay, you all right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm holding you up or you're holding me up.
With this storm system, the cyclone, the eye of the storm sitting out in western Kansas. Here we go, we got another one of those big gusts coming in here. And just to know the power, that's why we've been talking about the central pressure. As that air just goes up into that system, the air just condensates, creates that moisture, and that energy is just unleashed in the form of wind and precipitation. And just to see it covering this huge area of northeastern Colorado and to see the impact is just amazing. And guys, on a very serious note, I am very concerned about all these people out here that are stranded. Like Katie was just talking about, there are very limited resources to try to get to these people.
And we've been riding in the back of a Snowcat, just watching along these roads, seeing all of these stranded vehicles and watching us first responders take them out, put them in the back of the trailer of the Snowcat and bring them to a shelter. Luckily that Snowcat is out here because it is so needed. And we're gonna talk to a firefighter right now here at the Elizabeth Fire Department. We're not talking to the Snowcat guys because they're out rescuing people right now. But firefighter Jake Malone is here and he has, I'm gonna push this door open. It's gotta get through the snow, so it's really tough. And if you walk through here, I just wanna make sure she's okay walking through here. And I'm gonna actually wipe off our lens a little bit inside. There we go. This is firefighter Jake Malone. He has been out here all morning. You have done several rescues, brought several people to the hospital. What has your day been like?
It's bad. Roads are bad. We're encouraging people to stay home. Very slick, and visibility is poor, very poor right now.
On an apparent shooting at Columbine High School in Jefferson County.
Columbine High School.
2 blocks from
Columbine.
It just doesn't seem like 20 years could have passed.
It seems like it was yesterday.
He's going to be talking about the unthinkable.
I could not carry on a conversation looking eye to eye because I had so much guilt.
Every day is better than the last, right?
Everyone would always ask me, do you have any questions? And same question every time because nobody gave me a direct answer, and it was, am I going to walk again?
Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by saying that we all know there has been a terrible shooting. I hope the American people will be praying for the students, the parents, and the teachers.
I couldn't hang my head any longer. It was so disrespectful to Lauren, and it was so disrespectful to all of the 13.
I'm here for a reason. I'm here to make a difference and to keep this community strong.
And as a parent now,
It's hard to realize what my dad went through that day.
We had that day in which we lost our kids and people were injured, we were impacted, but Columbine also represents hope in what we were able to overcome, and not necessarily moving forward, but healing.
Kyle, we're right around the corner here from the school, and I just ran into Beth. Beth, you're trying to get as much information right now as you can.
I am.
So what did you hear?
I heard that I got a call from one of my son's teacher. He's with a teacher, and he's with her safely, but he was supposedly in the room next to where the shooting happened. I've heard rumors that there were 3 shooters, but I don't know if that's confirmed or not. And I've heard there's a couple of injuries.
Twice now, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office has told us 2 injured. So it's encouraging that that is not a shifting number.
Parents were just immediately being turned around, and when they got stuck in that traffic, they pulled over, got out of their cars, and started sprinting here. You can imagine they want to get here as fast as they possibly can. So right now, there are just parents walking in, trying to find out if everything is okay, trying to find out any information they possibly can. One dad I talked to as he was sprinting on the side of the road, he said he found out from somebody that his son's 2nd grade class is okay. So that's the kind of information right now that these parents want to hear.
Shots fired.
I copy, shots fired.
I need medical here ASAP.
She called me and she was hysterical, and she told me that there had been a shooting.
All of the injured were students.
My son, he got shot, but he's okay.
We have the shooter.
Confirming you have the shooters?
We have the suspect.
We chose a small school because we thought that that'd be safer.
We will get to the bottom of it.
Douglas County is the site of America's latest mass shooting in a school. A family is mourning the loss of their 18-year-old son, killed today at STEM school Highlands Ranch. 8 other students there were injured. 2 suspects, fellow students, are in custody. The sheriff says shots were still being fired when his deputies first ran into the school. Investigators say they caught the shooters with a struggle. They were not hurt. One of the student suspects is 17 years old or younger. The other is an 18-year-old named Devin Erickson. Investigators are still collecting evidence within the school. The sheriff says the shooters got deep inside that building where they go to school. Tonight, we are also learning, though, about the people who stepped up to help in those moments. We saw how hundreds of families were reunited. My colleague Kim Christensen is in Highlands Ranch, where, Kim, a new community is going through the familiar cycles of shock and grief.
Yes, a new community asking the questions why here, why in Colorado, and every time it happens, it feels very personal to all of us because we have been here before, and we do know in some small way what these families and what this school and these teachers and the faculty of this school must be thinking about. Colorado native Chris Vanderveen was one of the first reporters on the scene yesterday. Chris woke up today, felt the need to share this.
It is our state, my state, a state I love, a state with every reason for everyone in it to love it. People are coming here to be part of something special. Yet the state of this state is not good. Columbine, Century 16, Platte Canyon High School, Arapahoe High School, Planned Parenthood, YWAM, New Life, a Walmart in Thornton, and now STEM School, Highlands Ranch. Something is wrong. And if you're not concerned, you're not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, it's time to say you are part of this problem. Colorado, we own this. We own what we have become. Can we in our newsroom do better? Absolutely. We all have a role in making sure whatever it is that currently ails us is something that must have a cure. Don't consider this political. Right now, I honestly do not care about your thoughts on guns or prayers or mental illness or religion or whatever words you want to yell at this moment. When those words are followed with nothing more than more words, those words are hollow meaningless. Something must change today, tomorrow, because our children have become far too used to a world where this is normal. And I refuse to believe this is normal, because today I owe it to my 9-year-old daughter to acknowledge that the state of my state, your state, her state, is not good. Today we learned the name Kendrick Castile. All of 18 years old, he stood up and said enough, and lost his life in the process. He is what we can be. He is what we should be. It is time to acknowledge we can be better than what we are when we join with that 18-year-old and say, enough.
A 9 Wants to Know investigation found several gun stores using a loophole to keep selling what lawmakers thought they outlawed.
Marshall Zellinger is here with an example of what we're talking about here, that being a magazine which is obviously larger than the legal limit.
This is what's being called a parts kit. You have the magazine shell and the magazine spring separated but sold together. The shell of the magazine here has, I know it's tough because it's a black magazine, but it says the number 60 on it, which represents the number of bullets this can hold. This is a large capacity magazine, or is it just the shell of an item that is not bound by Colorado's large capacity magazine ban? 9 Wants to Know using an undercover camera to see what's being sold and said inside Colorado gun stores.
This is a solution.
Such a gray area.
To address the gun violence.
Bottom plate, it just slides right off. It's real stupid simple.
We will restrict magazine capacity to 15.
How many rounds is this one? That's a 30 rounder.
I don't believe limiting the size of a magazine will have any effect.
We can work around it. We're Sanctuary County. We don't give a.
It's a bit odd.
It's at your discretion once you walk out the door to how you use it.
Odd how different gun stores in Colorado
The kits are technically illegal, technically not illegal.
are similar in how they describe a specific item.
They loophole the wording that they did that lets us keep selling.
You see, Colorado has a 6-year-old law banning the sale of large capacity gun magazines.
House Bill 1224 is passed. We decided that we were going to go out and take on the NRA.
The kind of magazines that hold more than 15 bullets.
And took great lengths to draft the content and the language in this bill.
It was passed and signed into law the year after the Aurora Theater shooting and the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Connecticut.
We limited magazine capacity.
So, about that law that limited magazine capacity.
So we have the 100-round drums.
We have 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and 60s. If we can get the 60s in stock for the AR-15.
9 Wants to Know took a hidden camera into 10 Colorado gun stores and sporting goods locations in 6 counties.
We have everything up to 60 rounds are our biggest ones.
A hidden camera so we can see and hear what anyone else going into the store can see and hear.
We sell part kits. We sell ours as parts kits. Everything we sell as far as mags are parts kits.
This is a parts kit, the shell of the magazine and the spring taken apart but sold as one item.
They're priced in pairs, so I understand. Yep, one for the spring and one for body. I got to figure out how to put it together. Yep. You're not legally allowed to sell the assembled magazines, which is stupid because, you know, a monkey could put it back together.
We took what we found to Democratic Senator Rhonda Fields.
And it's time for us to do something.
Since she sponsored the 2013 ban on high-capacity magazines when she was a state representative.
Is this what you had in mind when you sponsored a bill to ban the sale and transfer?
Absolutely not. Seeing those businesses, you know, operating under a loophole that's in our statute is just sickening to me.
Don't kid yourselves, legislators. Just because you said so doesn't mean people do so.
We have a lot of ineffective laws on the books, and I don't look for it to be repealed anytime soon because those who passed it and the governor who signed it, as you showed in your story, are very proud that they did that.
We decided, you know, that we were going to go out and take on the NRA, and we passed, as a purple state, we passed universal background checks. We limited magazine capacity.
Did you know these were still being sold in Colorado since the law was signed?
No, I didn't. I had not.
I'm probably as surprised as you are. This is the point of good media, right? Good journalism is because when you point something like this out, it then becomes our responsibility to fix it.
It will be months before we get a ruling from the Colorado Supreme Court on the constitutionality of this 6-year-old law. But the Attorney General's office made it clear in court today, Kyle, that what we found is not that loophole, just flat out against the law.
I'm super into genealogy and family history, and I thought it would be fun to know exactly where my ancestors came from.
Born in 1980, Maya never considered herself a curious child. And then last year, on a whim,
Ancestry had is special.
She did something very curious.
You spit in a tube. You put a little cap on it, shake it up, put it in an envelope, put it in a box. You drop it off at the post office.
A few weeks later, Ancestry's DNA results revealed nothing terribly surprising.
No. I was mostly English and German like I had expected.
Like she and her family had expected. Yet not long after, New Year's Eve to be precise, a stranger's message on Ancestry.com delivered something entirely unexpected.
So I opened the email, and it was from a woman saying that we were a close familial match and were likely half-sisters.
Half-sisters, and that wasn't the half of it.
And I just lost it. I started sobbing. I'm thinking my dad is not my biological father. It was devastating.
We need to ask Mom a question.
At first she said no, and then my dad, who's very quiet and reserved, says he kind of interrupted her and said, no, yes, we did use a sperm donor to conceive you and Tawny.
Bam.
Each the daughter of a father they did not know.
Our world got turned upside down, more or less.
And I know they're angry. All I wanted was to be a mom. That's all I ever wanted. And I am, and I'm grateful for that.
And that's where the story could end, were it not for something even more curious. Ancestry kept finding matches, half-siblings, each like Maya and Tawny, with the same DNA of the same unknown father. Each of the ones we spoke to say their mothers visited what was once known as Gynecologic Obstetrical Associates of Western Colorado, and each had sought fertility assistance from Dr. Paul Brennan Jones of Grand Junction.
I thought he was doing a good thing for me and my sweet husband, who's so kind, like the girls said. They couldn't have a better father, period.
As Cheryl's obstetrician, he even helped deliver both Maya and Tawny. She says Dr. Jones told her he used anonymous sperm donors. But this lawsuit, filed Monday in Mesa County Court, maintains Dr. Jones leaned on no students for help. Instead, quote, he used his own fresh sperm to artificially inseminate Cheryl Emmons, prior to Cheryl giving birth to both Tawny and Maya.
And I'm sorry. I keep telling my kids. He did a bad thing to all of us. My kids are the ones that are hurt the most, and I'm sorry. I didn't know. Honest to God, I didn't know.
I want to hear his voice. I don't know why, but that's important to me.
Dr. Jones? Hi, I'm Chris Vanderveen with 9 News. Can I show you something?
Dr. Paul Jones is now 80 years old.
Have you seen this DNA test?
Well, no, but what difference does it make?
Colorado renewed his medical license in May.
Did you father these children?
That's an impertinent question.
Why is that an impertinent question?
Because I'm not going to answer it.
Do you think at some time you're going to answer this question?
Maybe in court, under oath.
Only his DNA he has so far refused to give, could prove or disprove the allegations.
Would you give a DNA sample?
No.
Why not?
Because I don't want to have any incriminating evidence against me.
Child sex abuse allegations against 300 priests in Pennsylvania have prompted a new look at similar allegations here in Colorado. Colorado Catholic leaders agreed to a review of their abuse records going back decades, announced by the state attorney general.
9 Wants to Know investigator Kevin Vaughn has looked into 2 allegations against a former priest in Colorado who left the ministry nearly 40 years ago.
They both say they were groomed with booze and other substances, but it's here that their stories diverge.
I don't think I was molested. I don't remember anything like that.
It's painful. I mean, I was really, it's tiring kind of reliving some of it.
What Michael says happened to him on a trip to Montreal in 1967 went beyond grooming.
And so Father Hewitt and I were in the same bed.
Michael struggles to find the words to describe what happened next.
Father Hewitt he made advances and did a bunch of made advances.
I wanted to come down and talk to you and give you the opportunity.
Oh, it's about my former life.
After discussing priest abuse investigations going on around the country, Hewitt offered an admission.
I have not done anything like that since, we were married in 1980. And a couple of years before that I had not done anything like that.
It sounds like you're admitting that you did those things.
Well, yeah, I did do things that were wrong. I realize that.
He repeatedly said he was sorry.
I talked to Michael. Anybody else I would be glad to talk to. And I would apologize. And that's, I don't know what else I can do.
Could you tell me how many boys there were? Do you know?
No.
Do you have an estimate?
Oh, maybe. My guess would be around 8, maybe 9. I confessed these things to some priests, and they, it was just, say 3 Our Fathers and 3 Hail Marys and have a nice day.
Of the 43 priests mentioned in today's report, only a handful are still alive. Fewer still live in Colorado.
Hi, is Father Michael here?
Yeah.
You Father Michael?
Yes.
I'm Mark Salinger with 9 News.
Yeah.
How are you?
I don't know.
Michael Desios is one of those priests. He was a pastor at St. Joseph's Parish in Grand Junction in the mid-1980s, when the Attorney General's report alleges he took a 14-year-old boy on a walk under the pretext of sacramental confession and molested him. More than 3 decades later, Father Michael maintains the allegations are false.
Why do you think you were named in the report?
Because of an accusation of 32 years ago. It was a false accusation.
You never went on a walk and touched that 14-year-old?
No, I did not.
The victim reported the allegation in 2018 to the Pueblo Diocese. Father Michael had retired in 2012, but served as a retired priest in Denver, filling in for masses, according to the Archdiocese of Denver. Earlier today, you could find his picture on the Archdiocese website, but it has since been taken down.
No Nazis! No KKK!
We can hear it.
An anti-Semitic symbol into the asphalt.
We can see it.
The man who wanted to start a racial holy war by bombing a small synagogue in southern Colorado.
And some of us can feel it.
We do feel attacked.
Colorado has so much to be proud of, but our homegrown hate is getting worse.
What's the state of hate in Colorado?
The state of hate in Colorado is, it's relatively hot right now.
The Colorado Bureau of Investigation reveals reported hate crimes increased 44% across the state last year. He seems ordinary. Gray hair, tan jacket, slacks, unassuming. A pedestrian among pedestrians making his way through Denver's Capitol Hill neighborhood. Here he is sharing a crosswalk with a woman. It's safe to say this man hates her simply because of the color of her skin, and she has no idea who's standing next to her. James Nolan Mason, age 67, longtime neo-Nazi, and most recently an advisor to a militant extremist group known as Atomwaffen. An international neo-Nazi group whose members see themselves as soldiers gearing up for a race war. I wrote to him. He declined an interview in a typed letter saying he's not interested in
media exposure for purely tactical reasons.
I eventually approached Mason in a West Colfax parking lot.
Hello, Mr. Mason. How you doing, man?
I got nothing to say, pal.
Good,
nothing to say.
Good. Hey, well,
Don't
with me, Dad.
Yeah. Hey, I don't want to cause any problem.
Well, I got
You're a
nothing
pretty
to say.
prominent figure within the white supremacist movement, and I want to ask you some questions. I mean, the one question I do want to ask you.
Them, though.
The one question I do want to ask you is, do you feel any responsibility for the young people that have turned violent?
None at all.
You don't?
No.
No?
None whatsoever.
What should happen following the turn of the 21st century?
And yet, from his Section 8 apartment, Mason spreads Adam Waffin's message online around the world.
More young people should bring forth the Adam Waffen division.
A lot of people take your words and they're acting violent based on your words.
If they were acting on my words, they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing, throwing their lives away. I say, and here I am talking to you, but I say, don't do it. But if you're going to do it, for God's sake, do it right.
That's a pretty bold statement. You did indicate that you do endorse this by proxy, though.
No, I'm saying don't do it by proxy or any other way.
You said to do it right.
If you've got to do it.
It seems like
if you must do it,
Yeah.
it seems to me to be only common sense that you'd want to do it right, because it's the end of your life. You may die out there in the street via a SWAT team, or you may spend the rest of your life in the joint. Make it count, for God's sake. That's only common sense.
This is Mayor Michael Hancock's Denver. This is also Mayor Michael Hancock's Denver. 2 terms in office put Hancock's stamp on this city. That is his point of pride. His opponents say it's the problem. So, is Denver a city on the rise, fueled by ambitious new projects, greater access to city services, and a thriving economy that's working for more people? Or is Denver a city where the developers make the decisions, money talks, and it's telling people they can't afford to belong here anymore? A deep field of challengers hope to keep the mayor from getting 50% of the vote and forcing a one-on-one runoff. The challengers include Lisa Calderon, a criminal justice professor, social justice advocate, and longtime critic of the mayor; Jamie Gillis, the former head of the Rhino Art District and a consultant who works with neighborhoods to deal with development; and Penfield Tate, a former state senator with decades of experience in Denver and Colorado politics. Tonight, the mayor and his challengers lay out their view of Denver today and their visions for the Denver of tomorrow. This is the race for Denver mayor.
Good evening, I'm Kyle Clark. And I'm Marshall Zellinger. The race for mayor of Denver is a nonpartisan race, meaning there is no party affiliation attached to the candidates. If none of the candidates here get 50% plus 1 of the vote, there will be a runoff in June. You're all seeking Denver voters to choose you as mayor. Ms. Gillis, since 2011, when Mr. Hancock was elected, voter records show you've only voted in half the elections. I know you lived out of the country for some of that time, but if you want to lead the city of Denver, why didn't you care enough to vote absentee?
I think it's a great question. And, you know, I was traveling abroad, Singapore and the UK here, for most of that time, a good chunk of that time. And it's a big task to vote while you're abroad. And it's my bad for not doing that. But I also think it's important to note that this is an incredibly important time in our city, in our country, and a lot of people are awoken to politics at any given time.
You declared that affordable housing is your number 1 priority. At the same time that your administration lost the handle on 25% of the city's affordable housing stock through lax compliance and some other issues. How do you account for such a profound failure on your number 1 priority?
I appreciate that, Kyle. I'll tell you that this challenge around compliance did not start with my administration, but it's certainly going to end with my administration. And the moment we determined, this is with new leadership coming into the housing division, that we had challenges with some of the inventory in terms of the houses that were under our affordable housing program, we began to move in. And let me be clear, this was an entire system failure.
5-step drop in the pocket. He throws the ball. He's got Fumagalli wide open. Catch an easy one indeed. He's made it to 40-yard line. Fumagalli is spun down to the
You know, every Sunday it's like, oh good, they're playing again. They give me something to look forward to. I think it's when life deals you some blows that you find out what's a true friendship. Somebody who's there for you when you call them up and say, I got to get to this doctor, I can't drive. I'm on my way, Becky, you know. That's sort of the epitome of friendship. So back in 67, 8, Somewhere
69.
There. 69,
Yeah,
okay.
69. Mesa Elementary.
Yep. Mesa Elementary, 5th grade. Yep, a long time ago. It's sort of hard to explain. Why is it when you meet somebody, you're like, you're going to be my friend? And that's just sort of how it was.
Even in school, I remember her Bronco attire. You know, she always knew all the players. She always was the biggest Bronco fanatic. That's the thing, is when I saw the contest, I immediately thought of Becky because she was just always the ultimate Bronco fan.
We want you to help us decide the ultimate Broncos fan.
9 fans will be featured during Broncos halftime.
Winner will get to see the Broncos take on the Cardinals at Mile High.
So I started writing an essay, and I asked Becky's permission if I could submit it, and I had her read it before I sent it in.
Yeah, that was good.
This just seemed like an appropriate thing to do.
My name's Becky Robinson, and I've been a Bronco fan since the early 70s. I've been battling this cancer since 2014, and it was gone, and it came back in 2017, so I've been going through chemo and radiation for over 2 years now. Unfortunately, it's not working. So it's just a matter of time. But I've enjoyed it while I've been here.
One thing is that she said she wanted to go to San Diego.
Yeah.
And dip her feet in the ocean one more time, and that seemed like it was going to be a challenge.
Yeah. Getting me on a plane was going to be challenging.
So this contest seemed like I think I just wanted to give her something really big. I'm going to have to go to... Sorry.
And the winner of the 9 fan card is the woman who told us she is trying to make every day the best it can be. Becky Robinson is at tonight's game.
Oh, this breeze feels so good. Perfect. Yep. No, I think it'll be great memories. It couldn't have happened at a better time, definitely. And I wasn't there very long until we saw Emmanuel Sanders.
You gonna be on the sideline when we warm up?
I think so, for a little while.
Philip Lindsay to come sign your jersey.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I would really like that. Thank you. All right. The way the community rallied was amazing. It started off as a contest to win some football tickets. Then it ended up being more and more people reaching out, wanting to know how I'm doing. The tickets and the seats and everything are great, but I think that's been more rewarding, is just getting back in touch with people. And so, it definitely became a lot more than just a football game. A lot more. There he is. There's Philip. I've been waiting for you. Yes. Oh, here. Oh, you made my day. Well, I've stopped all treatments just because they've determined that it's such a long shot at this point. I know. It's okay.
I feel like Becky was always part of my family, and I always feel like I was part of Becky's family.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Whether you like it or not. I don't know. I can't say it's prolonged my life, but, I'm going to say it could have been something very positive when there's not a whole lot positive going on. Couldn't ask for a better friend to have done it with.
Friendship follows the tracks in Glenwood Canyon. Step by step, this group of...
Dude, we talked about this over beers last week. That's not how we agreed to start the story.
You don't want to do it?
Oh, that's right. We wanted to start at the end.
Yeah, where I'm clinging to that rock right there.
And I'm standing on top of it.
Shut up.
I can say that because we're friends. Anyway, That's us with two guys we just met, Steve Kibler,
Steven, S-T-E-V-E-N,
and Mike Paddock.
It's actually Michael.
And this we'll get to later. Okay, now we can talk about how we got here.
You're getting more exercise than we are.
Getting an opening shot is hard work.
I think I got it.
One that captures four friends beginning an adventure.
It's getting there.
Two of them.
Not sure where there is, but it's getting there.
Know the route like it's their backyard. Steve and Mike go way back.
How far back?
Far enough that we have to use one of these. The pair started hanging out in the 60s.
One thing led to another, and being crazy as we are, everything clicked.
19-year-olds who loved climbing. The tougher, the better. Things haven't changed. Right before the Vietnam War came calling, they had an idea.
I was 1 week from the Air Force. He was 2 weeks from the Army. So we decided to do something crazy.
Said we ought to leave something to remember us by, just for fun.
So 13th of March, 1968, we put a flag up.
Up, as in way up there, on the cliffs of Glenwood Canyon. More than 100 people have been talked into taking this trip.
The flag is a tool to friendship. Friendship is a tool to the flag. Everybody that's come up here, I claim as a friend.
And we better be included, because that was the scariest shoot I've been on.
Should I tell my wife how small this ledge was?
You know, in truth, I am absolutely tickled pink that the two of you came along. You know, as long as I can get up there and back down, yeah, we'll keep doing it.
That's where the story ends, for now.
It's where it started, too.
I definitely want to get a picture of everybody.
Two old friends will keep doing what they've always done.
And are you coming or no?
Friends like us are lucky.
Lucky?
Yeah, lucky. To help keep a flag flying for 51 years and counting.
Racist hate in El Paso, still unexplained anger in Dayton. Then you add guns. You always add guns, because this is America. And then you have heartbreak. Like for a Coloradan mourning his stepfather, one of the 22 people killed in El Paso.
He did fight. He did fight a lot. He went through a lot of surgeries. So, I mean, he fought to the last minute, but he just got tired.
President Trump suggests that America try what Colorado is doing, a red flag gun control law to keep guns away from dangerous people.
That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders.
If Republicans give an inch on gun control, Colorado is proof of what will happen. Law enforcement refusing to enforce the law.
It's a Band-Aid fix, and it's a catch-all.
Recall elections against red flag supporters.
I think it was time that a message gets sent, not just to our sheriff, but to all sheriffs and the lawmakers that, you don't say one thing and do another.
And already, Colorado's loudest voice for gun rights is warning Republican Senator Cory Gardner that he better not support a national red flag bill. Tonight, an extended conversation about the lessons Colorado is learning about what happens when you try to separate hate and anger from the guns they crave. Colorado's red flag gun control hasn't even gone into effect yet, and sheriffs across our state are vowing to risk jail time before they enforce it. Sheriff Steve Reams of Weld County told our Steve Steger today, President Trump is about to change his mind.
We must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms.
The president's call for red flag laws seems to fly in the face of an effort of many county sheriffs across Colorado.
And there's always this desire to do something.
Weld County Sheriff Steve Reams has led an effort to ignore Colorado's law.
I think the president has every right and is expected to step into these kind of conversations. I think the problem with the statements this morning is we're all reacting in an emotional way.
He says even though the idea has the support of the Oval Office, Weld County still won't enforce Colorado's version of the red flag bill.
Hopefully his advisors and the president himself are researched enough to understand that there may be a solution through a red flag law, but it's not Colorado's version.
At issue, Reams and other sheriffs don't like the law because they feel it lacks due process, not giving the accused a chance to defend themselves in court. And Reams argues if you listen closely to what the president said this morning, they are on the same page.
That if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process.
Everybody understands the term red flag and assumes that it means something that oftentimes it doesn't. Would it provide a fix to these mass shooters? I guess that's to be determined. Being able to catch these people or identify these people prior to that event taking place is the key factor here, and the red flag law still doesn't necessarily provide a means to do that.
Reams isn't in the business of writing laws, but I asked him if he would support any version of a red flag bill. He says he won't do it unless it reconsiders that due process argument, Kyle. So again, he says the president here reacting kind of emotionally like the rest of the country is, that we need to look at Colorado's law and compare it to the other laws.
All right, Steve, thank you. So unless Democrats take control of Congress, it seems pretty unlikely that the president's idea of a national red flag bill is going to be brought up in the Republican-controlled Senate. Colorado has lots of examples to offer of what happens to Republicans who dare defy gun rights activists. Republican Douglas County Sheriff Tony Spurlock is facing a recall right now. Our Marshall Zellinger checks in on where that stands.
Even today, the Facebook page dedicated to recalling Republican Sheriff Tony Spurlock is posting about his support of red flag laws.
I'm part of the recall committee to recall Sheriff Tony Spurlock.
Robert Wareham.
We anticipate that the signature drive will be in September and October.
Is moving ahead with his recall efforts of a fellow Republican, despite the president, a Republican, saying this.
That is why I have called for red flag laws.
The one we have here in Colorado isn't it.
Even before today's statement by the president, Wareham has been on record that the recall effort against Spurlock is more than just red flag. It includes the sheriff's office opposing a bill that would keep scanner traffic from being encrypted and silenced.
We're not trying to recall him over red flag. We're trying to recall him because he has violated, we believe, his oath of office by supporting legislation that infringes on constitutional rights.
In Lakewood, Democratic State Senator Brittany Pedersen also faces a recall, in part because of her sponsorship of the red flag bill. But if you look at what that group is telling voters in Lakewood, it's also her support of the national popular vote law that could change how Colorado's electoral votes are awarded, her vote in favor of the oil and gas reform bill, and her vote in favor of the sex ed bill. As a simple question, will either recall stop mentioning the red flag bill when seeking signatures? And Kyle, the answer is no. Despite you've got the Democrats here and the Republican sheriff and a Republican president, no, they're still going to show up at your door and be like, they supported this red flag bill. Will you sign this petition, please?
You went out today thinking that this might go in a different direction.
Oh, I was almost certain after the president made his comments that they might avoid that if they want to collect more signatures. And I was actually surprised to learn that both people I interviewed said, no, we're going to go ahead and continue to mention it.
All right, the idea that probably minds are not changing in any significant way. All right, Marshall, thank you very much. We had hoped to bring you a conversation with Republican Senator Cory Gardner today. He could be a key vote and voice on this issue in Congress, but his office and his campaign team both ignored our request for an interview. Colorado's most powerful voice for gun rights these days told me today that Senator Gardner should face a primary if he supports President Trump's red flag bill. Dudley Browns of Rocky Mountain Gun Owners exerts tremendous influence on conservative primary politics in our state and elected Republicans all across Colorado. Brown is in the camp that tends to think that guns are the answer to guns. So I asked him this.
Should Americans of color arm themselves to defend themselves against white supremacists?
Yes, and so should homosexuals to defend themselves against homosexual bashers. So should any number of minorities, or frankly, any person who's fearful of another class.
So stop to think about what you just heard one of the most powerful Republicans in Colorado say. That Americans who fear another class of Americans should arm themselves to defend against that threat. Now, Dudley Browns talking about self-defense. The El Paso shooter's online manifesto talked about defending America, defending it from invaders. Now, typically we would not discuss something like that here, generally subscribe to the idea of no notoriety. We limit our reporting on the motives of mass killers. If the shooters are seeking fame, that makes sense. But when a shooter echoes the president's rhetoric about an immigrant invasion and then starts killing people over it, we have to talk about the motive. You can't scrub the fingerprints of white supremacy off the murder weapon here, and you can't just dismiss it as mental illness. Let me say it clearly. White supremacy is not mental illness. It's a political ideology, and it's killing people. Colorado leads America in rancor over red flag gun laws, but we also lead the way on how to heal. Colorado Healing Fund is one of those ways. It's a relatively new nonprofit. It helps with the material things when no amount of money can erase the hurt. That fund helped families after the STEM Highlands Ranch school shooting with travel costs and by replacing property that was damaged in the shooting. Now other states look to our example.
I think state officials are always looking to their neighbors who have good ideas, and we learn from each other. Unfortunately, sometimes we're learning from tragic events. I wish the Colorado Healing Fund would be also the Ohio Healing Fund and the Texas Healing Fund. I think every state should look very seriously at establishing something like we have created in Colorado.
First time we've heard from former state AG Cynthia Kaufman in a while. The Colorado Healing Fund collects donations through the Colorado Gives website. Blaming mass shootings on mental health could be detrimental in the sense that it pushes people who are dealing with mental health issues away from getting help. That's what they tell us at the Colorado Mental Wellness Network. Their staff knows about that particular stigma. They've dealt with it firsthand.
My name is Hope Hyatt. I'm the Executive Director here at the Colorado Mental Wellness Network.
My name is Aubrey Boggs, and I'm the Advocacy and Outreach Coordinator.
So we're a peer-run organization, which means all of us have lived experience with mental health and or substance use conditions, living in recovery.
Assuming that those certain conditions make people scarier or more violent is simply incorrect. In fact, people with mental health conditions are 10 times more likely to be victims of violence and are not any more likely to be perpetrators of violence than anyone else.
That stigma and shaming is really contributing to even further lack of support.
It's the easiest scapegoat because we don't want to talk about the other issues in our country and in our world that contribute to white men committing acts of violence like this. Honestly, it can be really stressful to watch the news after an incident like this happens because they're talking about me when they say those things. Even though I've never done a violent thing in my life, they're including me, they're othering me along with these other these people committing these terrible violent acts simply because of a health condition that I have. These events are traumatic. The mental health we need to be talking about is how do we support people who are witnessing these things, who are losing family members, even just seeing it on the news. It is traumatic for everyone.
I really see the need for connection and knowing folks are not alone.
There is hope, and sometimes it takes a while to find it, but I found that the best way to find it is by being around others who found it too.
There is help out there when you need it. We're talking about some difficult subjects today and probably throughout this week. The Colorado Crisis Services team provides support 24/7. You can call 1-844-493-8255 or you can text the word TALK to 38255. We used to talk about Walker Stapleton a lot around here. Then he lost the governor's race. He grew a really good beard. Guy looked happier than ever. Maybe that's in part because we're not talking about him anymore. Well, today Walker Stapleton was in court in Denver. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. It's fine. He's mixed it up with the company that collected signatures for him when he was running for governor last year. He had to throw out those signatures because he was concerned that non-Colorado residents were hired to collect them. You can't do that. Stapleton had paid $250,000 for the signature gathering effort, and he's going after this company because he wants his money back. He says, you did it the wrong way. So we wanted to take you inside the courtroom today to show you some of the trial, but the judge denied our request to let the camera in. The judge said the loss of decorum would greatly outweigh the educational benefits of allowing you to see it. The loss of decorum. Yeah, let's talk about loss of decorum next time somebody accosts you outside the grocery store asking for your petition signature.
The committee trying to recall Brighton's mayor says it has all the signatures it needs and more. Councilman Matt Johnson, who's leading this effort against Mayor Ken Kreitzer, says they turned in about 1,700 signatures today. That's 700 more than they need to be valid. They accused the mayor of overcharging Brighton residents for water and then firing the city manager to cover it up. The mayor firmly denies that. He says the firing of the town manager was over a personnel issue. Now the city clerk goes to verify those signatures.
Towering clouds can be seen off in the distance here from our view of our CSU camera there in Fort Collins. Those thunderstorms are pretty strong, and in fact, just to the northeast of Fort Collins, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is in effect for Weld County till 6:30 tonight. It's moving towards the southeast at 25 miles per hour. Large hail about an inch in diameter, so quarter size, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible with this system, this cell, and in its path is Keota and New Reamer. Remember, you need to stay away from windows. Get to the center part of your home as those storms move through. There is a marginal risk for severe weather across northeast Colorado tonight. Those storms could last even late tonight past midnight, but here in Denver, gusty thunderstorm or two is all we're expecting. 63 will be our overnight low. We'll have partly cloudy skies. Hot day tomorrow. 94 with, again, more gusty thunderstorms in the afternoon. Our better chance for rain will arrive Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And with those storms, we'll drop a little bit in temperatures. Highs at the end of the week will be back in the middle 80s. Kyle?
Thank you, Becky. Hey, a heads up if you drive US 36 late. CDOT crews are going to be out. They're going to be putting what they call glare screens along the road repair site between Westminster and Boulder. So it's only going to be one lane in each direction, 10 tonight to 5 tomorrow morning. Same overnight closure tomorrow and Wednesday night as well. Denver is pretty pleased with how its first year of mobile voting went. A third-party company did a security audit into the voting app that they use to allow military members and overseas citizens a way to vote on their smartphones. They just released this audit, and it says that it doubled overseas voting from 2015. And it said that the votes cast over that app were recorded and counted accurately, which that's kind of what you want out of a voting app. The city says this is a lot safer than having those overseas and military voters email their ballots in. The audit still suggests the city needs to work with the Department of Homeland Security to do more audits of the platform. It also suggests, and this is interesting, that the city might allow voters with disabilities to vote from home with the app. For some, it's free fade. For others, a little trim up on a sunny day.
I care about the people down here, man. I don't mind making them look good for free.
Small way to feel good for those who call our city's streets home. Tonight we meet a barber whose shop doesn't have a roof over his head. Neither do his customers. Our Byron Reed introduces us.
Well, he's like 2 weeks behind.
Being there for your customers.
I'm here 9 to 1 every Monday, 9 to 1.
Is a golden rule for Taza Gillespie.
You see this list? And there's a couple of people I couldn't even get. So right now there's 18 people on this list right here.
Gillespie is a barber that goes by T. And about 2 years ago, he decided he wanted to do something to give back.
Giving free haircuts to the homeless and unfortunate people. A haircut make anybody feel good about themselves, you know, build their confidence, build their self-esteem, you know.
So he decided to donate his time every Monday in a place where people can easily find him.
You know, I was like, well, why not do it outside where everybody can just come? You know, if I go to a shelter, I'm only doing the people in the shelter. But what about the people that live out on the street?
Seeing this is like pretty neat.
Oh, well, thank you.
Gillespie says he gives the free haircuts.
I'm just glad God gave me the skills, man. I just use them, bro.
Along with a little advice.
Don't ever give up, man. Keep trying to strive to do better. I'll go ahead and cut them. Come on.
To show that he cares about the people living on the streets.
Let me go ahead and help them out real quick. I know school start this week. That's another reason why I said I'll go ahead and cut them real quick, even though I was on my last haircut for the day.
It really helps self-esteem, I'm sure, and especially if people are trying to, you know, make a difference.
It feels good. Like you said, it feels great. Everybody enjoys a haircut.
His customers are getting a fresh cut from a barber named T, who wants to be there for them when times are tough.
They need that help. Why not help them? You know? By doing something that everybody needs.
For next.
Oh, man, you already got a cut, man. Get up, man.
I'm Byron Reed.
T says he's seen a few of his customers get back on their feet. He says that's what keeps him going. He's convinced that those haircuts are helping. I appreciate that this program sometimes makes you feel something. Feel better if I didn't have to bleep so much your feedback, but we will dive into that passion about today's difficult news next. Like the new logo that we bought there at Red Rocks? No. A lot of passionate feedback tonight about the difficult topic that we spent most of the first half of the program talking about. The shootings in Dayton and El Paso and what we know about the motivations for the El Paso shooter. Barb specifically wrote in to thank us for talking about the motives while they're being ignored elsewhere. Mary Lee writes, white supremacy is not a mental health condition. So true. Mary Lee notes that she has worked 36 years as a licensed mental health counselor. Keith, not a fan of our conversation. Hey, Kyle, stick your liberal political opinions up your where was the outrage after the other shootings? Hopefully there was plenty. See you next time.